So, welcome to May's Town Hall. We have the wonderful Valerie here with us today, and she's going to be going over marketing basics. So, I'm just going to hand it on over to you. And yeah.
All right. Well, I'm Valerie Son, in case you guys don't know. I'm one of the certified three-story method editors here, and I write women's fiction and memoir. I dig memoir. So I love helping people write it and find the core message of it. And I do lots of presentations on memoir too. And I podcast at the Writer Craft podcast, in case anyone digs podcasts. All right, let me share my screen.
What was that podcast again?
Writer Craft podcast. My co-host is Eric Mertz. He and I both live in Oregon. He lives in Portland, and we met at a Willamette Writers Conference. So I've known him for over a decade, and I used to do the podcast solo, but as Jay and Zach have informed many people, after a while, you kind of run out of things to talk about. So I brought on a co-host few years into me doing the podcast by myself, and so he makes it way more fun. We have conversations about creativity and craft every week, and I dig it. So I want to talk about marketing. I am by far not like a guru or anything, but I do know the basics about, what you need to get started and what helps you along the way. And I like the idea of thinking about marketing like gardening, because I'm a real checklisty sort of person. I like being able to cross things off my list and be done with them. And marketing is just not one of those things. And so I had to wrap my head around it being not something I could check off, and that it was an ongoing thing. And that was kind of frustrating and not demoralizing, but just tiring thinking about it. So I had to reframe it with something else that was ongoing, that like gardening. There's always going to be, weeding and watering to do. And you can make your garden be anything you want it to be. These are pictures from my yard. So you can have your marketing campaigns be bright. You can have them be intricate. You can have them be, maybe you're real prolific and every week you're marketing something new and different. It can be kind of sprawling and long-term. It can be a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So you can make it be whatever you like and whatever resonates with you. So first thing you need to think about, obviously, is, and we're all here to be successful authors. That's all what we want to do. But in order to figure out how to be successful, you need to figure out what success means to you. And probably you've heard that in the writing space a lot. I think it kind of comes in waves. Multiple people in the writing space seem to talk about it all at the same time, and then it sort of dies down, and then it comes back up again. And so it is something that's iterative too. You'll decide what success means for you, and then you'll change it as you evolve as an author. But think of the garden. How can you be successful in a sustainable sort of way? Dream really big, but also what can you do right now? I had a garden when I first moved to this house. I had this amazing vision for this garden in the front yard that I wanted. I wanted it to be, so there's this garden in Eugene, Oregon, that provides the food for Lane County. And that's the food boxes that they'll give out for people with low income. And I've volunteered at that garden before, and they have these great volunteer programs. So homeschooling groups will come in, and church groups will come in, and all these volunteers will come in. They've got this gorgeous outdoor kitchen, and they cook for the volunteers every day. And it's just this sprawling oasis, and it's beautiful. And I love being there. And so that's kind of in my head what I wanted my front yard to be like without the outdoor kitchen. But obviously I knew I couldn't snap my fingers and have that be first year what it's going to look like. But that was sort of my end goal, and I thought, well, okay, this year I'm just going to do 3 garden raised beds. and I'm going to plant veggies. And we planted probably like 15 different vegetables in this 3-garden bed. And it was obnoxiously hard. I should have started with like tomatoes and cucumbers, and that was it, or something. But so yeah, think about what's sustainable for you right now while you're getting your feet wet, and do your training, do your research, figure out what you can do realistically right now. Because it's a real drag when you think big and you jump off and you don't succeed as well as you want to. And then you think, oh, and it sets you back, as opposed to starting small and just sort of working up and being confident with your success along the way. So I think it was Joanna Penn, or I can't remember, but a long time ago, I kept thinking, well, I want to be a successful author. So, I've got to do these things. And I realized along the way, one day I was feeling kind of hard on myself. And I realized, you know what? I'm a successful author right now because I'm doing what successful author people do. So if you can just do the things will make you successful in the end result, then you're still a successful author now. That was my opinion. And maybe your definition of success is going to be a little different. And obviously I didn't have the successful author paycheck right then, but, design, I had to like design it so that I could be successful later. So some of those things that think your garden beds and your trellises and like the infrastructure of the successful author. So you've got your website, your email list, the free content that you provide, whatever that's going to be for you. There can be paid campaigns like ads. Usually those you want to have be short term though, unless you've just got this miraculous amount of money that just you can put into marketing every single month. But usually paid ads are kind of a shorter term thing. And then of course, the best thing that can do for your marketing is writing the next book. So more and more books. Write. Come on, slide. Clicking. There we go. Okay, so back to the gardening. Your garden and your marketing needs to meet your specific needs. So again, how much space do you have? How much time do you have? What's your climate like where you're at? Do you want to have a big garden? Do you want to have a little one? Do you want flowers and food, or just one or the other? We decided after the veggie debacle, we just growing flowers now because it was a lot easier. And it's still beautiful and we still get to play in the dirt. But yeah, so consider your structure, like in the physical sense, in terms of, we have these raised garden beds, but also your schedule. Like, when are you going to plant your seeds? Are you going to buy starts? Are you rotating your crops? And then we always forgot about the harvesting part. So we would go out and water and weed, but then we would forget the harvesting and processing. And so then we'd end up with zucchinis like this big, and you can't even eat them at that point. So if you're adding, taking this metaphor to marketing, and I crossed out marketing here on this slide and put business, because your marketing decisions are going to be based on the kind of business model that you have. So I'm thinking business here too. So meeting your needs. Do you have a budget for ads? Is this a side hustle for you, or is this your main gig? Like, are you the sole breadwinner for your family? Are you collaborating with other writers? Are you just doing this by yourself? Are you writing fiction only, or are you also writing nonfiction? Do you have authors services on the side? So what does your business model look like? Because that will help determine, are you ready for ads? Are you, what kind of marketing are you going to do if this is what your business looks like? So knowing what your business structure looks like, and also, again, having it be sustainable for you and your family. Maintenance, the weeding and the watering. So that's the little stuff that just has to happen almost every day, like answering your emails. If you're planning an ad campaign, like that's part of, are you doing that weekly? Are you doing that quarterly? Like, how are you doing that? It can't just be today I'm going to think about ads and do an ad campaign. It usually has a little bit more prep work that's needed. If you're launching a new book, if you're promoting services on podcasts, pitching to podcasts so that you can get on those podcasts, those are all part of like the maintenance of marketing in your business. And then again, on that structure, like what days are you going to do your content creation? Mine is Wednesdays. What days are you doing client work? How are you fitting the structure of marketing days into your week? Can you fit in author events or like Comic-Cons or something like that where you can sell your books? Or can you do a webinar or something to sell your services? Or are you rotating your, instead of crops, are you rotating your campaigns? So like this quarter, I'm going to be focusing on promoting, the latest book that I just wrote. And this quarter, I'm going to be focusing on the services that I provide or something like that. So the Alliance of Independent Authors is a really cool organization. And Oran Ross, I don't know if you guys have heard of this or have heard of her, but she was one of the founders and she's still very involved. I forget her actual title now, but she came up with the 7 stages of the creative process. And I really loved it and thought it works really good with like business and marketing too. So we're going to talk about her 7 stages of the creative process and how it relates kind of to marketing and selling books. So her 7 stages of the creative process are intention, then incubation, investigation, formation, elaboration, clarification, and completion. So the only thing that I have found in this creative process as it relates to business and marketing is that sometimes you can be doing and also writing too, I guess. Sometimes you can be doing these stages at the same time. So some of them kind of overlap a little bit. And I'll explain more about that in a minute. Okay, so intention, that first one, this is where you would be kind of setting the intention for that definition of success, what it is that you want to accomplish with this particular marketing campaign that you're working on. So do you want to increase mailing list subscribers? Is that your goal? Or do you want more podcast downloads? Are you trying to increase your book sales? And is that like a percentage increase, like you've sold this much more percentage in book sales, or is it actual money that you want to see the increase in? Do you want to increase reader engagement? So there's a lot of things that you can focus on in a marketing campaign that's not just book sales. So if you don't have a book published yet, you can still be marketing. I put this little thing in here about self-care because, again, it has to be a sustainable thing for you. So what is self-care going to look like while you're doing this? Maybe it's 1 weekday a week where you're not watching TV and you're reading in the hot tub. Or maybe it's going out to a cafe and getting a fancy coffee drink and reading a book with no kids around or something like that, so find a way that you can have some self-care while you're doing these other things that might be a little bit out of your comfort zone. And then again, success is going to be different. It doesn't have to be a monetary thing at all. Maybe you just want to have the kind of flexibility in your schedule where you can pick your kids up from school, or maybe you just want to pay your mortgage with your earnings. If we were carrying on the garden thing, I kept growing tomatoes and they would rot before they would ripen. Like there was clearly something wrong in the soil that was missing some key ingredient because I never could actually get them completely ripened before they'd have to throw them away. So sustainability. So another one on that creative process, again, with this, I mean, it's not another one, it's the same one, intention. So another thing you can be thinking about when you're just setting your intentions for your marketing is your branding. And branding, again, how it relates to your marketing. And some would say that branding kind of is like perpetual marketing, like it's just always going on in the background. And branding, again, can just be like your philosophy about writing and what your kind of thematic elements are to all your stories. It can be, if you're a nonfiction, it can be like, I don't know, in Oregon, well, actually she's from Texas. So I don't know if any of you know Tex Thompson, but she's kind of on the circuit when she'll show up at speaking gigs and conferences. And she always wears a red cowboy hat and a red button-down shirt and cowboy boots. Like that's her uniform when she's speaking. So that's kind of part of her branding. Anyway, so connect with who you are, think about what your passions are, what your mission is as a writer, why you're a writer, you know, having those even on your about page on your website would be good too. So just sort of think about, because branding is all part of that marketing too. Okay, some other parts of that creative process are incubation and investigation. I see that the I in investigation is not capitalized. My editor brain is freaking out right now. So again, I said before, like some of these kind of happen at the same time. So I felt like campaign preparation sort of fit into both incubation and investigation, because you're kind of, yeah, it just seemed like it fit in both those categories. So when in your schedule are you going to work on like this kind of thing? Mondays are my sort of my CEO day. Those are the days where I do all my planning and education, any kind of like things that you would do as a CEO of your company. Like I tried to slate those for Mondays. If you're going to outsource anything, you know, figuring out who that will be. Are you going to hire a VA? Are you going to hire one of those companies that just run ads for you? I think Written Word Media is one of them, and there's a bunch of others. And so again, that would be part of that investigation, just the research of figuring out who you would hire if you've decided that that's what you're doing. What book are you going to run ads on? Or is this a mailing list campaign? How often are you going to run your ads? Do you want to do BookBub ads or AMS ads or Facebook ads? You know, if you don't have any budget at all yet for ads and you're not running ads, you can still run a campaign. You can run a Patreon campaign, or you can, again, like do a campaign of pitching to podcasts so that you can get on podcast interviews or focus on blog post writing for and really focusing on SEO. So there's a lot of other things, other campaigns, other marketing that you can do if you don't run ads. Investigation and clarification, the learning phase of the marketing. This is hard for some people because they don't want to try stuff if they're going to look bad. I know a lot of people like that, and I myself have a little bit of that. Like learning in public is hard because I feel like, I don't know, the imposter syndrome kind of rears up a little bit, and my perfectionism says, no, you can't like look like you don't know what you're talking about in front of people. But you know, it's a real thing. You can learn in front of people. It's okay. So part of this learning phase is going to be, again, that research. You know, if you want to, there's tons of podcasts out there. I'm kind of a podcast junkie, so I really like listening to Promote Yourself to CEO is a great business podcast. Of course, there's the Novel Marketing Podcast, Sell More Book Show, the Redefining Wealth podcast. Again, has nothing to do with books or authors, but it's just about, you know, redefining wealth for yourself and abundance. And so there's a lot of different podcasts you can listen to. There's books on prosperity. Joanna Penn's book, How to Market a Book, is really good. Seth Godin's This is Marketing. These are all, you know, things that you could be researching and just getting ideas from. Of course, there's always conferences and organizations that you can join and be a part of. Mastermind groups, coaching, accountability groups. Those are all great to get like feedback from other authors. And then, of course, there's small business administration classes, community colleges, anything that will help you learn about business or marketing, or selling books, if you want to keep it on the author side. So we talked about the things that you could be doing as a successful author, even before maybe you are a successful author. But I like thinking, like, my mindset was, I am a successful author if I'm doing successful author things. And so again, I just wanted to put this list back up here, the website, email list, free content, etc. So the author website, think of this as your raised beds now. This is the infrastructure. So the most important thing, I think, is that you own your marketing. So my website is valerieeson.com. I own that, but I did it on Squarespace. So I also have, if you went to valerieeson.squarespace.com, it would show up as the same, website, but I don't own that. So you can get your own domain name, valerieeson.com. So own your marketing. Because if you spend all of your time trying to build up Twitter followers or Facebook group engagement or something like that, and then something changes or it goes out the wayside or whatever, maybe Substack goes away. I don't know. If whatever platform you're using goes away or changes or becomes paid or something changes and you can't use it the way you used to use it, then all of your efforts have gone away. So try to own all of your marketing. That's going to be your content that you provide and anything on your website. I think there's something really noisy outside my window, but I have headphones on, so I can't quite hear it. If it's too loud, let me know somehow and I'll close a window or something. So if you're not savvy, I really dig Squarespace. It's a templated website builder. It's really easy. So I vote for Squarespace myself. Some people have a little bit more patience when it comes to learning curve on computers, and WordPress probably has more capabilities because it is a little bit less templatey. I mean, they have templates, but you have the ability to do more things with it if you want to get into the weeds. Bluehost, GoDaddy, those are the host that, I guess that's the place where your website kind of resides, I suppose, in cyberspace. So you'll have to pick one of those. I have GoDaddy just because I had my website so many years ago. I didn't know of any other place. That was the place you went. So I've had my website for a really long time. All right. The number one thing and reason for having a website, I think, is to start collecting email addresses. And I just saw Kim made a comment that there's a lot of resources to make building a website easier these days. A lot of people have tutorials too. And again, Squarespace is really drag and drop, and they just sort of lead you through it as you make it. And okay, this was kind of my tomato cage slide. So you need to find a mailing list server provider. I started out with MailChimp. I now use ConvertKit. ConvertKit's $30 a month. I don't know about these other places. MailChimp, I think, started out as free, but I don't know if that's a grandfathered in thing now, or if everything costs money now. I don't know that answer anymore. But MailerLite, I know people that love MailerLite. Aweber people use. So find one, research. That's why I put it under the investigation creative process slot, because this will be you're investigating which one of these will serve you best. And also, after I made these slides on Friday or on Thursday, on Friday, I listened to Sasha Black's podcast, and she was interviewing Nick Thacker, and he has a thing, I think it is called, it's an email service like this, but less money. And I don't remember the name of it. So you're going to have to go to Sasha Black's Nick Thacker episode and get the show author.email. Yes. Thank you. I thought that was what it was, but I didn't want to say it. Okay. So author.email. So I was going to check that out because apparently it's a lot less expensive for some reason that is beyond my pay grade of understanding. It has to do with the technology and how it's built, and I don't understand that. So those are some mailing list service providers that you can check out. Make sure you add author.email. It's in the chat amongst the ones that you research. But you want to collect email addresses because, again, this is how you own your marketing. If you have people's email addresses, then you can email them any marketing that you want. And nobody can take that away unless they unsubscribe, which is fine because you only want your true fans there anyways. So on this mailing list, what are you going to do? Some people freak out about, what am I going to email? I don't know. So it kind of depends on if you write fiction or nonfiction. I have both, and I have lists for both. So when it comes to addressing just my fiction audience, or I include my memoir in that too. I know that's not fiction, but the people that just are readers as opposed to my audience that are also writers. That's how I distinguish it. So for my readers, I send them book reviews or book recommendations. I send them, sometimes I send little connection videos, like this is just what's going on in my world right now. Vacation photos. Sometimes they really actually do dig author life stuff. So sometimes I'll put in there, or like an update on a book I'm writing, like, oh, it's coming up soon, or cover reveals, that sort of stuff. Yeah, Temi Lebrecht, she's the newsletter ninja. She's got a lot of resources. She's got 2 books out, and they're both really good. You can also put coupons for your books sales. If you're writing to a nonfiction audience, you can put video tutorials out. I know Kim just started a new podcast. You want to do a little plug for that? I think it's called Shield Maidens or something like that. And that's to your fiction audience, right?
Yeah,
It's nonfiction stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's nonfiction stuff about the topic of what I'm writing about. So it's called Shield Maidens, Women of the Norse World. And I do it with a co-host who also writes fiction that takes place in the Viking world. And we both have women in our books, and we just wanted to get the voices of women who lived in the Viking age out there, because a lot of the podcasts and things about Viking and Norse mythology often focus on the men.
So that is a great example of how to take your passion and like the thematic elements of your fiction and provide free content to your readers that are already interested in that topic because they read your books. Okay, so also part of this email list is to create automation series. And you don't have to do this, but this might be like next level. My automation series is so old that I've deactivated them all, and I'm going to be rewriting them all because they just don't work anymore. They don't point to the right things anymore. But an automation series is when they sign up for your email list, they get that little, yay, you've subscribed. And so you can use that welcome email to redirect them to their free gift, or you can introduce, David Gogren just emailed, I think yesterday or today, send out an email. He sends his welcome email to a page on his website that's like blocked for everyone else. It's not visible to anyone but the people that get the link for it. So it just takes him to a page on his website that says, welcome to my author newsletter. And there's a video welcoming them, and then places to send them, like his YouTube channel and all that stuff. So you can have your welcome email send your new subscriber to wherever you want to go, wherever you want them to go. And that free gift, if you're a nonfiction writer, mine's the story rubric. For my nonfiction side, for my fiction side, I have 2 essays, personal essays, because that falls under the memoir category. And I just released a memoir, so I wanted something that was like what I was releasing. But you can have a novella or like a white paper, top 10 tips for pain-free living or something like that. You can do coupons or discounts for services that you provide, something like that. So it's just a free gift as an incentive to get their email list or to get their email on your list. And then the automation series will automatically trigger. You set up where the triggers are. You can have them trigger the next day or 2 weeks later or whatever. And so I had one triggered for like a week or two later, just sort of a follow-up. Hey, did you get the book that I, sent you the download code for? Do you need any help with that? By the way, here are the other things that I do. Maybe tell them a story about yourself, just sort of introduce yourself. And then Thomas Umstead Jr., he's the one that does the Novel Marketing podcast. His episode 255 has a whole thing on how to create this like email. He calls it an onboarding drip campaign. And I think there's like 7 emails in his onboarding. So again, this is formation, but also maybe some investigation too, as part of the creative process. And part of this marketing process is finding out what other authors do, what resonates with you. Does it fit with your business model? Does it fit with your definition of success? And finding what works for you. More formation stuff, social media. I wrote this slide a while ago, back when Facebook groups were not new, but they were deciding, or they were discovering the benefits of using a Facebook group as opposed to a Facebook page. You have to have a business page in order to run Facebook ads, but you can have a Facebook group. And the benefit of having people funnel into a Facebook group is that anytime you post something, they will get a notification, as opposed to the page. Your organic reach is really small. And now people have the capability of turning off those notifications or limiting those notifications, but it defaults to getting a notification when you post something in your Facebook group. So just some FYI stuff. More stuff from Sherry. Tammy Lebrecq has a new, I think it's a class. It's not a class. It's a course. Yeah, it is a course, I think, that she made that you can buy, called Emails on Autopilot.
It's
And-
not really a course either. What it is basically is just a bunch of like stuff, like templates and things to help you know what to put in your
That's right.
emails, because a lot of people were like emailing her and being like, hey, I don't even know what to put in my emails. And like, she just was like, well, you're a writer, just put stuff in. Like, so for a long time, she just kept saying stuff like that. And then she's like, oh, okay, apparently other people, it's not me, have a problem with this. And so she made this thing that has just a bunch of templates, has a bunch of like what you should put in your welcome emails and all that jazz. So it's really cool.
So yeah, you can check out that too, Newsletter Ninja. Whoops, I'm going ahead too far. I just want to go back and remind folks that, because email or social media gets fraught with emotion sometimes, and a lot of people need to not be on social media because they're really empathetic, and anything that shows up there just you immediately take on. And I'm a little bit like that. I mean, I'm a lot like that. So I have learned how to use social media. I get in, I look at my notifications, and then I get out. Sometimes I'm in a mindset space where I can scroll and look at the feed, and sometimes I'm not. So I can get in and post and leave. I can get in, look at my notifications, see if anyone's messaged me, and get out. And then it's not as painful to be there. But yeah, in terms of social media, I like being everywhere. So I have a presence in all of the places. I have a LinkedIn page, a Twitter, I have them all, but I only hang out on Instagram and Facebook a little bit. So I direct all of those satellite places to Instagram because that's where I hang out mostly. So pick one or two, hang out there if you want to. It's really, I don't think super necessary anymore. I think that your marketing has to fit you and your personality. And I think that social media is handy. It's convenient to have a presence there. But again, you can just have it be like a satellite place. If you want people just to go to your website, just be like, hey, here's my Twitter page, but I really hang out here. Go here if you want to know any more about me, or I don't answer messages from this place. Go here instead, or DM me here, or whatever. Okay. More formation. So asset building. This is kind of your content, the free content that you want to provide for your audience. You can do Facebook Lives, you can do YouTube tutorials, you can have a blog. Sometimes blogging falls out of favor. I haven't done a blog for a really long time, but I just put out a new blog post last week. So I think I'm going to start blogging again for my nonfiction audience. So asset building, of course, can be your books, which wouldn't necessarily be your free content, but an asset is also your website too. That is an asset. It helps build traffic. It helps with sales. It helps get people to know you and like you and trust you. So make sure you've got a rockin' awesome website. These assets are going to provide value for your clients or fans. It will help connect them to you. You can communicate with them then at that moment, at that time, and anything that you put out, of course, show your friendly and useful side, and your audience will reciprocate, and they'll be grateful that those things are there. So elaboration, this part of the marketing creative process, kind of, I said pricing campaigns, but it doesn't have to be I guess what I mean by that is like if you're putting your book for sale. So if you upload your books to Kobo directly, there is a promotions tab. And if you go in there at any time, they're always running promotions. So you can go and see if any of your books like fall under the category of any of these promotions, and they're really inexpensive. They're like free, but your book is discounted. And so your royalty would be the same, but like it ends up kind of being free on your end, or it'll be like a $5 promotion or a $15 or something. It's very affordable. So if you're not direct with Kobo, Draft Digital, if you go through Draft Digital and Kobo is part of, and Draft Digital pushes to Kobo for you, they are also great at getting those promotions and kind of finding them and then relating back to you like, hey, if you're on Draft Digital and you want your books on Kobo, then they're running this romance beach read, so if you've got any books here, click this link and then you can set it up. So this is what the campaign that I'm talking about, the pricing campaign. So you do it for gaining more clients or readers in this case, keeping the current ones happy. If you have a mailing list of fans already and you say, hey, my book is on sale on Kobo right now. So if you go to Kobo, here's your link for the sale price. So it keeps your current people happy, and it helps you get more readers. It just keeps your name on their radar too. It's just something else you can put in your mailing list emails. But know what you're doing this for first before you put anything on sale. Like, is it because you want to just get more readers? Is it because you want to increase sales? Figure out what you want it to do. And then at the end of the campaign, did it work? So you have to have that reflection piece in there too. What time is it? Oh, 10 minutes. My goodness. So goal setting. I'm a big goal setter. I like doing that. Your goals need to be pretty specific though, in order for them to work. So this is elaborating on your creative process, the marketing process. So SMART, maybe you've all heard that before. It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Like those are all of the aspects of the goal statement that you make. It has to be specific. It has to be something that you can measure at the end to see if it worked. It has to be realistic, like, can you actually achieve this thing? And then having like a time limit on it. Like in the first quarter of 2024, I'm going to increase my word count by 200 words a day. Something like that. Like I'm not sure if all of those pieces are in there, but that would be specific. It has a time limit. It's realistic for me to add another 200 words, and it's achievable because I can actually count that I did more words, and I would know at the end of the quarter if I did those things. I put ER right here under SMART because some people add ER in there, and that's an evaluation, and then like repeat or like reflect. I guess you could say reflect, but evaluation and reflection are kind of the same thing, I guess. So after you do your SMART, then you would evaluate, did it work? And then reflect on if you wanted to change anything for next time. And this fell under clarification and elaboration in my brain. So what kind of services are you providing your clients if you're also doing like side hustle stuff? Is there any way to upgrade this? So if you're not doing author services, then you can look at this as your books. So what can you elaborate on that you're already doing? So if you've written a book on, I don't know, give me an idea. I'm not good at improv. If you've written a book about something, maybe you can also provide the workbook for it. That's a great example, actually. So if you've written a nonfiction book and then you want to create like an upgrade or something, another product where you can reuse kind of what you've already created, you could also provide a workbook, or maybe you can provide the workbook plus, like a one-on-one coaching session, or if you buy this thing, then you'll get this. They're upgrades. So think about how you can be creative and adding upgrades to what you already provide. And that can just, give you more money. It can give you more clout, like street cred, if it's just more confidence that you know what you're talking about, and will help you get clients that way too, because people will see that you're capable of doing all of these multiple things in your topic, in your expert industry. Elaboration, clarification. Again, what can you give your clients for free? So this is super important. This is very, very marketing. Marketing isn't just about book sales, for sure. It's getting eyes on your work and getting your name out there. So maybe you don't have anything that you can give your clients for free, and maybe that's not part of your business model. That's fine. But if you are interested in providing free stuff, then it can be novellas, short stories, white papers. You can do weekly inspirational emails to your fans, or you can send out like weekly tips on whatever it is that your topic is. I provide a weekly podcast. That's my free content. You can provide an educational series. You can do like little videos. You could create that. Remember, we were talking about the email automation series. I once signed up for an automated email class or course or whatever, and there were like 52 emails in this automation series, and every week it would just automatically give the author automatically sent out a new like tip or part of it was a class. It was a course that he provided for free. So every week I would get a new email about something else in that topic. And that was something that took him a long time. That was an asset that he created. It took him a long time to write all 52 of those emails, but then he set up the automation series, and that was something that just drips forever for him automatically, and he doesn't have to do anything for it. And that ticked all the boxes of keeping your name there in front of their eyes and providing a service and giving something free. And, it helped me know, like, and trust him because he was always in my inbox, giving me free stuff. So that's good. Yeah. Or if it's for fiction, you can do like a little video series, characters on location, so like if you're traveling and you've written a book, and the characters go to these places, you can go to those places and like show like, hey, today I'm in, the graveyard where blah, blah, blah happened. And, just give them like a little pano view of the cemetery or whatever. And that's fun. So you can do like a little video series like that too for your author fans. Okay. So in terms of marketing, we do want to like focus on our energy on where we can be most effective. So obviously we kind of have to know like where our fans hang out, and that is clarification, but also maybe some investigation as well. You'll have to do a little bit of research maybe to find out where your demographic hangs out, where your readers hang out. Do they go to book fairs? Can you go there too? Are they going to be at conferences? Maybe you can go there and just network and just be there and hand out bookmarks or whatever, just be helpful. Maybe you can. I used to be a massage therapist for 7 years, and I would give out new client discounts. So they would get 20% off their first massage, and they would also get 20% off if they referred a new person that made an appointment. So I was giving a lot of discounts, but people really liked that. And so I would build up my client base that way. I also worked for some time inside a yoga studio. So all of the yoga teachers, I would give them 50% off their first massage because they were kind of like influencers for me. And they ran the yoga studio, and, they could vouch for me. They could promote me for me. So you can try to be a little creative about like, what could you do in terms of creating symbiotic relationships, thinking holistically, like, how could I share my marketing with another person? Maybe it's with another author and you're doing newsletter swaps or webinar swaps. I've just heard of somebody that wants to do a webinar for one person's audience and then was offering the reciprocal. So, or, you can discount your books for special events or do back of room sales. So there's a lot of ways to kind of get on their radar by being where they're going to be. And then on Oran Ross's list, the very last thing was completion. Well, you're not going to complete, your career, hopefully. So I think that in terms of marketing, you could complete a specific campaign or complete like building a specific asset, like a book. But in terms of career, you're not going to ever complete that. You're just going to continue clarifying it and letting it evolve and pivoting. And, we've got the ChatGPT stuff and AI stuff now. So there's going to be a lot of pivoting and reclarifying and relearning and, going through this process again for our careers so that we can keep doing what we love. So back to watering and weeding, guys. This is, again, coming from your definition of success. So none of this is necessary unless it's part of your business plan. So are you going to do a daily social media post? That's kind of annoying, but maybe you are for a certain period of time. You could do a daily social media post for a month or a week. Maybe you're into batching and you just write up all your content on one day and then you schedule it out over the course of a week or a month. Maybe you decide, okay, I'm just going to do 2 things a week to promote my business. And it can be anything on this giant list that you have. You can maybe just sending out your monthly emails. That's your watering and your weeding. Or maybe you can have some sort of referral program for your author services, like I talked about with the massage. So maybe I can have like any of my editing clients or my coaching clients, maybe they'll get like a free session if they refer somebody else, like create some sort of program. And then this book, I haven't read it in a long time, and I know that there are tons of other productivity books out there now, and some of them are amazing, but this one I still love back in the day because I read it and it just really rocked my world when I read it. So it's an older book by Mark McGuinness. He's a British author and poet, and it's called Productivity for Creative People. And this is the big takeaway that rocked my world back in the day. So there's these 4 things that we do in our businesses. We build assets. We've been talking a lot about that. We work on our ongoing business tasks. That's like the watering and the weeding and the checking the emails and all of this stuff. Accounting, all of the yucky ongoing stuff that we have to deal with. There's catching up on backlog. This was the mind-blowing thing. If I don't get everything done on my list today, it goes on tomorrow's list, making tomorrow's list even longer. So it felt like I perpetually was not getting my ongoing business stuff done. But that wasn't true. I was getting my ongoing stuff done, but I wasn't getting the backlog done. I was creating backlog for myself for various reasons. Maybe I'm sick, maybe my kids were sick, maybe something took longer than I thought it would, something, but backlog does exist, and I can't just pretend it's part of my to-do list. So building assets, ongoing business tasks, backlog, and then getting ready for special events. So maybe you're speaking at a conference, or maybe you're gonna host a writing retreat, or something like that. So there's a special event that you need to prepare for whatever you're doing for it. So in this book, he says, in order to be sustainable, you do your ongoing work. That has to happen or your business falls apart. So you do your ongoing work plus one other thing. And that was really hard pill to swallow, but it was mind-blowing to me because I constantly tried to do too much. I thought I could do too much, just created a whole bunch of failure mindset because I wasn't getting what I thought I could get accomplished because I was trying, it was unhuman. Like if there was no way I could get it all done. So ongoing work plus one other thing. So if you're building up for a retreat, I'm having a retreat in August. So once summer hits, like next month, I'm probably not going to be doing a lot of asset building because I'm going to be getting ready for this retreat. Or if I've got a lot of backlog because I just came back from vacation, I'm not going to be trying to build assets then. I'm going to be doing ongoing and my backlog until that's done. So you can only do one other project at a time, plus your outgoing or your ongoing thing. So if that's useful to you, that changed my world. Okay, so here's my email address and here's my back of the room sale, guys. My little plug for myself. Normally my power hours are $99, but if you use the talc discount code, then that'll be $85 for you. Normally I charge $500 a month for coaching, which is weekly sessions plus feedback on your writing. And that is $425 with the talc discount. So